Hello YouTubers, RogueMonkeyJr here, and in today's video what I'm going to talk about is actually how I record my games in 2016. Before I used the capture card, I used DxTR, I used a bunch of different software. Now I'm using OBS Studio, which is an amazing free software that you can use to record your games, and it has very little impact on your frame rates and your gameplay in general. And you're going to get really good results in the recordings, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and it's just going to be great. Now, first off, what I'm using right now requires an NVIDIA video card. So if you have an AMD video card, I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to use different than what I'm using. You still might be able to record how I do it, but it might impact your game a little bit more depending on what type of computer you have. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add a scene. Now, I already had one added. Let's just delete that. So basically, you're going to want to go click on this little plus button down on the scenes tab. You're going to call it whatever you want. Let's just call it gaming for this. And then you're going to go sources. You're going to add another one. Now, there are a bunch of different sources that you can add. I'm just going to talk about the one to actually record your games. So you click on game capture, call it whatever you like again. And then you're just going to make it mode capture any full screen application. Now, you can't specify a specific window, a specific application that you're running to record. I just leave it on capture any full screen application because I run my games in full screen. I know this might be different for people who run it in borderless, but I run it in full screen, so that's how I do it. There's a bunch of little options that you can like change here, capture cursor and all that. I just leave it all on default. Now, where it gets really important is in settings. Now, in your settings, you can change a bunch of things like the theme, the language, streaming. I'm not going to talk about that. Output is where you want to go. So it's going to be default on simple. You're going to want to click advanced. Now we're going to go over to the recording tab. I just use standard. I make a folder somewhere on your computer and call it whatever you want to actually save the footage to. Now, how I do it is I record with multiple audio lines. So you're going to have to select MP4 to do this because FLV does not support multiple audio lines. And you're going to want to select track 1, 2, and 3. And you can have more, up to 4, depending on how many audio lines you want running. Now, the encoder is what I was talking about. If you have an NVIDIA video card, you should be able to use the on-chip video encoder on the video card, which is the NVENCH.264. So you use that. I don't rescale the output. I keep it at 1080, 1920 by 1080 for 1080p. Now the rate control. I use a CQP, an 18, which gives me the best quality for footage size. Now, if you have storage problems and you don't have that much room, you might want to go to CBR and give it a bitrate of maybe like 3500, or just go CQP and use a higher value. But I use 18, and that's how I record my games, and it gives me really great quality for decent file size. So, but make sure you do have a lot of room because it does take up quite a little bit of room. I'm going to skip the audio tab for now, and we're going to go straight to video. Audio tab, I'll come back because I want to talk about the multiple audio lines. Base canvas, 1920 by 1080. Outscale, 1920 by 1080, your monitor resolution. You can also record at higher resolutions if you want. I have a 1080p monitor, so I record at 1080p. And the FPS, I put it at 60. Now, you can put hotkeys to start and stop recording and whatnot, and I didn't change anything in the advanced tab. Now, the audio tab. Now, audio can be something that's quite a bit tricky. I mean, some people don't really record with multiple audio lines. I like this because I can actually adjust people's volume individually in editing instead of having like everybody in the same thing, and like if people are too loud then I can't turn them down. So it's just much easier to have multiple audio lines. You're gonna need another software. If you have a mix amp, like an external mix amp, that's great, but what I'm using here is actually a free software. So what I'm using is actually the voice meter right here. I'll put a link in the description down below. So basically you just go to voice meter, you just look it up on Google. Go to VB Audio, and you're gonna download the virtual audio mixer. It's a donation so you can, if you really like it, you can make a donation, but you don't have to pay for it to actually buy it, download it or whatever. So you just go here, you download the voice meter. You can just get the executable file right here. So download that. the next thing you're going to want to do is go into the virtual audio cable tab. Now you're going to download this, and this is an add-on for the software that we just downloaded. So download both of those, install Voicemeeter first, and you're going to have to restart your computer, come back, and before installing it, just listen to what I have to say. Just make sure that when you restart your computer, just make sure that you have it select to default, because you won't be able to hear any sound if it's not set to default. I'll explain why a little bit later. Alright, you guys are probably done installing all that stuff. Also installed the cable output. So basically, the cable output, what it lets you do is that you can actually, like, let's say have TeamSpeak or Skype open and you're talking to teammates. You can actually have the playback set to the VB audio virtual cable. So basically your sound is going to go from TeamSpeak into here, and then you're going to select your output, your hardware out. So me, it's the Logitech G930 Gaming. So select whatever you want, and then your TeamSpeak is going to go through here. Your system sound is going through the virtual input here. So you're going to have a game sound going through that, and everything's going to be going into your Logitech G930 headset. So also you just want to have both A selected. You don't want B, because B is another virtual out that you can have. Use this for streaming, but for game recording, you just want to have these on to actually get the sound going through just your headset. Now, after all this is done, okay, you're going to want to just minimize this, and you can also right here in the menu have it run on startup instead of always making it default every time. It'll just run on startup and it'll always be set as default. Now going back into the OBS software, so basically desktop audio device, you're going to have Voicemeeter input. Desktop audio 2, you're going to have cable input VB audio virtual cable, which will be your communication, which either TeamSpeak or whatever you want. The microphone, so you're going to select whatever microphone you want to use to record your voice. I have the Blue Yeti stereo microphone, so I just select that. And now after all that is done, you can just go apply, okay, close that. And here you're going to want to modify a few things. So you can see that you have your 3 voice lines, well, your 3 audio lines here. This is the game sound, this is my microphone, and this is the TeamSpeak audio. So you're going to want to go in the mixer. And here what you're going to want to do is actually, usually it's checked off. All 4 tracks are checked off for each audio line that you have. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make them so that they each have their own line, because if not, they're all going to be mixed together. So you see here I have my microphone set on 1. I have my desktop audio 2 set on 2. This is going to be TeamSpeak, and the desktop audio set on 3. So when I open up a recorded footage in Vegas, here we go. Now as you can see, I have the video. This is my voice. This is TeamSpeak. I didn't have TeamSpeak running or anybody talking while I was recording this footage. And here is the game audio. Now the great thing about this, as I said, is you can actually adjust each individual line instead of adjusting all of the sound at once, and it's just going to make your editing much more easier than having just one audio line with everything in it. And like, if you want a cool moment and you're like you got really excited, then you can turn down everybody else's sound, you can turn down the gain volume, and you're just gonna have your voice there instead of actually like having everybody else's voice. And something that you just want to make sure before you actually start recording your game, make sure that you go here and right click here, go transform, and then just go fit to screen to make sure it's full screen like this, because if you saw earlier, I just had a red dot here, so it wasn't recording anything. So just make sure that it's set to fit the screen, because you're just not, if you don't, you're just gonna have black screen and you're gonna be really pissed, especially if you got some awesome moments. So basically that's how I record my games in 2016. It has very little impact on your game performance, and it just gives you great content, great quality footage. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. If you liked that video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.